So welcome back on this show, Professor Iyer's ENFRA show on defense, to tell preparedness for defense for India. And we have none other than Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain with us, and also Khazanchi staff who has joined in. We had some video issues, but yes, we are continuing this discourse where we left. So now coming to the Afghanistan issue, which is very important, what is happening in the withdrawal scenario is we are directly under threat. Jitni bhi hum khabrein dekh rahe hain, and the way things are going on, it looks like the Taliban is literally overwhelming the Afghan army. And this is almost the repeat of what we saw once upon a time, कि वहाँ जब नजीब साहब को इन्होंने हैंग कर दिया था तालिबान ने, उसके बाद जो इवेंट्स हुए, उसमें the great military commander whom the world has forgotten, the line of Panjshir, we all remember the Ahmad Shah Massoud. I at least remember him. I would love to write a book on this man. Ahmad Shah Massoud tried his best to take back, even he had come up to the Kabul. पर वो जो पार्सल बॉम्ब से उनका जो डेथ हुआ उस समय तो इनफैक्ट द इवेंट्स ऑफ दैट विल रिमेन हिस्टोरिकल. बमिया स्टैचू का गिराना और ये अहमद शाह मसूद जो मतलब उसकी मौत नहीं होती अगर थोड़ा अमेरिकन उसमें थोड़ा सा उस सिक्योरिटी मैटर में उनको बता देते कि आपके रिस्क है जिंदगी में. तो दीज आर ऑल द हिस्ट्री वी हैव लर्न फ्रॉम इट. एंड अभी भी वन साइड द नेटो इज विड्रॉइंग. मैं इसको कनेक्ट करता हूँ नेटो विड्रॉल की. वहां से एर्डोगन स्ट्रांग हो गया है और यहाँ पर क्या है कि ये वीकनेस, यहाँ आईसिस और आईसिल इनकी स्ट्रेंथ बढ़ रही है. वहां वो कुर्द को मारा जा रहा है, कुर्दिश लोगों को तो खत्म किया जा रहा है लिटरली. ये हालात हैं और उसके बीच में कश्मीर खुला पड़ा है अभी. एंड अफगानिस्तान में हमारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है पर हमारी कोई मिलिट्री प्रेजेंस नहीं है. Hasnain साहब, what is your feeling? I personally feel there must be a military role and India must assess this.
Not at all. India must not deploy anything in Afghanistan. That will become an endless pit, a well into which we will keep pouring things. Not at all. We can extend some assistance, which we have been doing all along. We have poured a lot of soft. Yeah.
But with this Pakistan, with a rogue Pakistan and the ISI and its military continuing to build the narrative in a way that वो तालिबान को जिस तरह से feed कर रहे हैं, future में even if they come to power, maybe they will have, they may have some responsibility. Some people have come to the extent saying they should be compared with Hezbollah and all, but Hezbollah was also a terror organization. How can we say it was not? ये जो Lebanon के साथ पूरा Lebanon की.
Let's not take too many things. It will confuse the whole affair.
Right.
Let's look at a few things. The Americans are very clear in their mind. They know, they have recognized after a long time that the title given to Afghanistan called the graveyard of empires, that title is actually true. And that to control Afghanistan, they would have had to deploy 500,000 troops, which is not possible. After what happened in Vietnam, where they lost 58,000 soldiers killed, the American public was unwilling to do conscription and to fight a war in which they would lose another 60,000 people. So you notice in 20 years, the Americans have lost only 2,400 soldiers. That is all that they have lost as against Vietnam, where in 15 years they lost 58,000 soldiers, right? So the American commitment was purely for the purpose of revenge for 9/11, to neutralize Osama bin Laden and prevent the usage of the territory of Afghanistan for any terrorist activities against America and the West. They would be least bothered about whether terrorist activity can carry on in Central Asia or in Middle East or in against Kashmir. That does not bother them that much. So the Americans have just upped and gone away. They are concerned much more about what's happening in the Indo-Pacific. They know very well that Afghanistan and Iraq and their overall interests in the Middle East have prevented them from moving their focus into the Indo-Pacific, where the great challenge of China, the rise of China, which is not a very normal rise, is taking place. The Americans want to focus on that rise, and they want to focus there. This somehow to their perception of international security appears to see that this can wait. This can be a secondary kind of although their interest will always be there to stabilize it, because you must remember Afghanistan is the gateway into the Indian Ocean, the gateway into Central Asia. You see, it's a landlocked country and located so geostrategically. But Pakistan, the country which should have played a positive role with the United States, did not do so. They first of all, they welcomed the Taliban. The Taliban has been living in all the cities of Pakistan. The Al-Qaeda has been living in the cities of Pakistan. The Americans were in no position to punish the Pakistanis, despite the fact that George Bush once said that we will bomb you to the Stone Age if you don't cooperate. But the Pakistanis never cooperated. They did not cooperate, and there was a reason for it. The Americans were so dependent on Karachi harbor for their logistics into Kabul that there was no way they could fight this war. And therefore, they had no leverage to be able to twist the tail of Pakistan. So Pakistan has been the country which has taken advantage of this situation throughout. Last 30 years, 20 years, they've taken advantage of it. And the outcome of it today appears to be totally to the advantage of Pakistan. And the manner in which it is moving, internationally, it seems that Russia, Pakistan, China, maybe Turkey to some extent, Iran. This is the linkages which are appearing over Afghanistan. The influence of United States, Saudi Arabia, India, Japan, countries like this is almost minimal at the moment. That's where the situation is at the moment.
Yeah, sir, in a furtherance of that whole idea, see Pakistan, because if you see General Hussein Haqqani, who is now in literally Hussein Haqqani is right now in America, and he sometimes speaks on these lines. But there are other experts from Sweden, I don't want to name them, who have written books, and they have come. The whole issue of Pakistan creation was put on the great Churchill. It was his plan to have a vassal state. That I will have one more discussion on you later. But
separate issue.
But what happened? Seeing that now the vassal state, Pakistan is the vassal state of China now. It is no more the West.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. You must remember that Pakistan has taken full advantage of its geostrategic location. Now, rarely do you find a country which gives access to and fro into an energy-rich region. For example, the whole area of Turkmenistan, West, South, Central Asia, and what is called the heart of Asia. All these areas, it gives access there. It gives egress from there to the Indian Ocean too. If the territory of Pakistan gives access to China from Western China to the Northwestern Indian Ocean. You see, it's such an important piece of real estate. This is what we have to realize. And then Pakistan is also one of the rare countries which has got 5 civilizations around it. Indian civilization, the Chinese, the Central Asian, the Persian, and the Arab. 5 civilizations. I don't think that there's a country in the world which can say that there are 5 civilizations around it. So Pakistan's geostrategic and geopolitical importance is of a great thing at the moment. And it's been exploited to the hilt by it. It knows fully well that with China, it's got all the advantages. At the moment, with the United States too. After all, to get away from to get an IMF loan, $6.5 billion loan, who do they have to go to? Only to America.
Absolutely.
Right? You can't go to anyone else. To get rid of the terrorist stamp on the country, they have to only go to America. Right? So they are playing this game marvelously, I must say. The political, diplomatic game marvelously at the moment.
So, connecting to that to PAKAFUZ, which is the new thing which they have proposed, after the CPEC, they want to enter Central Asia, and that is the next risk, because Pakistan, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and I would say it is a reverse Senki, even Russia will be in trouble, because last year, when the Russians celebrated the victory day at Vladivostok, there's a big social media upheaval in China. This is our territory, and in fact, it is said that the Chinese Communist Party was responsible for spreading that and including using Global Times. What is your view on that, sir?
My view is very clear as far as Pakistan's access into Central Asia is concerned. You see, we must make sure that we keep the Russians very well informed. We don't need to really do that. The Russians are always well informed. They need to know, the Russians need to know. Just remember one or two facts. Russia has 11% Muslim population.
Yes.
They've got the territory of Dagestan, they've got the territory of Chechnya, two areas where they have fought a long insurgence, both these countries. They are not looking for a radical Islamism to enter anywhere into Central Asia. They were afraid of the ISIS making an access into Afghanistan and using the drug triangle, the drug routes all over these places to create an economy, a drug economy of its own. Because if the ISIS enters into this area, no one is endangered more than Russia. So this whole business of the connectivity to Uzbekistan, while it may be economically of great advantage to Pakistan and to China also to a great extent, we must ensure that the Russians are always sensitized to it. We must also remember, of course, that there is another argument in it to say that Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline, the THPA pipeline,
but that's
$10 billion.
Not going to happen, sir. It's never
going to happen. It won't happen. It won't happen at all. So this is a pipe dream that we have got.
I am of the firm view. I am of the firm view, sir. That is a non-starter. Because इससे ज़्यादा अच्छा, क्योंकि आपने ये बात कह दी है, इससे ज़्यादा अच्छा ओमान इंडिया अंडरवाटर पाइपलाइन जो है वो पक्का बनेगी अगर if we have the will, political will, and we can bring, even the Americans and the Russians will cooperate with you when you do that, because you can control the Indian Ocean by virtue of one asset, one brilliant asset called the Oman India underwater sea pipeline, and the gas can come from all the four countries, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and also even Qatar can pump its gas. Iran will definitely be party to this. I feel India should work on this, pipeline, because we lost one of the champions of this cause with us. I was the first one. For the last 2 decades I have been on this, but 1 decade I have been pitching for this. And the man who supported me was the former Secretary Petroleum, S.C. Tripathi ji, whom we lost on 19th of May. I want to talk about him. He was the architect of your Noida and Greater Noida, whatever you see. This was this man whom we have lost. We have not mentioned, I did not see any major obituary on this man. He was a genius. He came to our program and he said, Iyer sahab, aap ye sahi kar rahe hain कि आप ये ओमान अंडरवाटर पाइपलाइन की बात करें. इनफैक्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी डिड स्टार्ट दैट, बट आई थिंक समवेयर दिस फाइल इज लाइंग. और मैं चाहता हूं हरदीप पुरी साहब के पास बात बोल के इसको शुरू करो. आपको हमारे से क्या हेल्प चाहिए बताओ आप. लेट्स नॉट प्ले दिस बीजेपी कांग्रेस, वो अपनी जगह है, वो पॉलिटिक्स अपनी जगह है. सबसे बड़ी बात है आप इसके ऊपर खड़े रहो, क्योंकि टापी तो आपकी आएगी नहीं. टापी को टाटा कर दो आप.
खजांची साहब आ गए हैं. यू मे लाइक टू आस्क खजांची साहब.
यस खजांची साहब, यू हैव बीन इन लिबिया एंड we know your Middle East portion also, and you have served there. So, sir, what about this Oman India underwater pipeline, which could change the game? Gas pipeline.
It's a wonderful idea. But I would like one question to be asked. Why Pakistan cannot change? It's not okay. Why India, Pakistan cannot have very good relations? When we see United States and Canada, what is wrong with us? Remember, the entire independence movement, we fought together against Britishers. People sacrificed from that part of the subcontinent, sacrificed from this part of the, and then alone we got the English to leave, right? What is wrong that we cannot be together again? Okay, let there be an international border to separate sovereign countries, but why not very good close friends? Is there no solution for that? I would like to ask General Sahab, because war cannot ultimately, wars will not win hearts.
Correct.
मैं आपको एक बात सुनाता हूं खजांची साहब अपने वालिद साहब की. My father was also a general in the Indian Army.
Wonderful, right? Sir.
Commissioned in 1942, fought the Second World War, and in 1947 Wonderful. He was in command. He was the adjutant of his own unit, 1st Garhwal Rifles. Just to explain to you, 1st Garhwal Rifles is a unit from Uttarakhand, Garhwal. 100% Hindu. He was the only Muslim in the unit, right?
Okay.
I am from the same regiment. I am from the same regiment myself, right? In 1947, he was in Peshawar and he was bringing his train from there, the unit during partition, to Saharanpur. And at the Lahore railway station, he was asked by his commanding officer, "Ke bhai, aap ko yaad rakhna chahiye, you should just remember that you are a Muslim. And that if you want to join the Pakistan army, you should get down here in Lahore. Don't go there because then it will be difficult for you to come back." My father's response to him, which I've written out in the form of a story, someday I'll send it to you, was simply this. "I have made up my mind," he said. "I believe that a nation formed on the basis of religion and faith will not last forever.
Wonderful.
A nation which is formed on the basis of all faiths, the belief of all faiths together, is a nation which will have problems, but it will last forever. I have decided to join the Indian Army."
Right,
and
sir.
he joined the Indian Army. Between him and me, we are the most highly decorated family in India, right? We got 10 decorations from the President of India.
Wonderful,
And we are
sir.
both Muslims. We both belong to the pure Hindu units. Why am I telling you this? I'm basically telling you this because this story can't be repeated in Pakistan, right? Pakistan is formed on the basis of religion. For them, it is the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. It's not the secular Republic of India.
Right.
Right? And even if they were sensible people of the Ganga, Jamna, Tehzeeb of Lucknow and Kanpur and Awadh and places like that, there were a lot of sensible people at the time of partition perhaps who thought that they could get the two nations to come together, the process could begin. That process came to an end in 1958 when Field Marshal Ayub Khan took over Pakistan. When the Pakistan army took over and the rule of the generals began, that was the end of any possibility of India and Pakistan getting along. Because remember, once an army has got blood on its lips, it's not going to leave anything.
Right.
Today, the richest elements of the Pakistan gentry, citizenry, are all people from the armed forces.
Right.
Compare them to me. No, I'm nothing. Compared to, I meet them all over the place. I meet them all over the world. Right? They are the most privileged class of people. Why would they want to have a good relationship with India in this manner? When they can forever create a genie, they can create an adversary, an enemy out of India and keep their importance at a highest level. And that is what, if you have to overcome this problem, and if you have to, very, very idealistic but wonderful thoughts of Khazanchi Saab, which I would always promote, I would work for it at any time. But I know the reality. I understand the reality because armed forces, once they are in this kind of a situation, it's very difficult to get them off the high horse.
Right. So, Khazanchi Saab, the answer is there from General Saab. And वो कह रहे हैं कि हमारे इंटेंट तो बहुत अच्छे होंगे लेकिन सामने वाले की भी वही इंटेंट होने चाहिए और वहाँ वो जो मिलिट्री का जो डोमिनेशन है आई वुड से नॉर्मल पब्लिक ऑफ पाकिस्तान में वांट फ्रेंडशिप बट बेसिकली वहाँ की जो मिलिट्री और आईएसआई का जो मेंटालिटी है वो आज तक रहा है वो अपनी दैट एनिमल हैज टू चेंज इट्स वेज एंड कलर एंड एवरीथिंग दैट्स द प्रॉब्लम विद दैट एनिमल नॉट द पीपल ऑफ पाकिस्तान.
I am reminded of my Libya days. Professor sir,
right.
I was, as General says, that he was the only Hindu in that Gadwal regiment. Believe me, in my ministry, I was working for Ministry of Housing. I was the only Hindu and only Kashmiri. We had a number of Kashmiris also working in various secretariats, somebody working for health, some working for Ministry of Communication. And in my Ministry of Housing, I was the only Hindu, and all others, means people from Palestine, Egypt, Bangladesh, Pakistan, were Muslim colleagues of mine. Now I talk about the Bangladeshis. I was there, I'm talking of 1883. And Bangladesh freedom to them had been quite recent, just a decade old. And believe me, my Bangladeshi friends there, they were not bad, but that lukewarm attitude towards me. And compared to my Pakistani colleagues, I had 3 of them. There was an architect and 2 engineers. Believe me, a different approach. And all the time we talked about our cricket matches and what it means to be watching India Pakistan and how we support him, how they support their team. And believe me, it was much better than what I had with Bangladesh. And all the time we could believe that there can be a union someday. There could be a union. Governments may be separate, yes, countries will be sovereign, agreed, but there could be. How this mentality, as the general says, that Pakistan army has been first and they are supposed to be the elite class of Pakistani population and their riches also. So how can that change? Can anybody be thinking on that? Maybe it takes 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line. But that would be the biggest service to this subcontinent.
आपके ख्यालात खजांची साहब सर आंखों पर. I mean, they are so beautiful, your ideas and your thoughts, that I have very great respect for what you say. And I would never like to oppose you, but the problem is that I am trying to only bring out some reality. इतने उम्दा ख्यालात हैं आपके कि भारत के अंदर बहुत कम ऐसे लोग मिलते हैं जैसे आपके ख्यालात. Right? I can ditto your thoughts in my mind completely, but I'm trying to just reason out a reality. मैं आपको बताऊं कि मैंने पाकिस्तान आर्मी के साथ बहुत सर्विस की है बाहर. In the United Nations, Indian Army, Pakistani Army together, we are the best of friends. मैं 1 साल लंदन में था. एक पाकिस्तानी ब्रिगेडियर मेरे नेबर थे साथ. We were doing a course at the Royal College of Defence Studies. Oh man, my wife was not with me for some time. हर शाम को उनकी बेगम साहब मुझे सालन और रोटी खिलाती थी. रोज हम सुबह साथ एक ही कार में चलाते हुए जाते थे, सिगरेट पीते हुए जाते थे. हमने कहा था देखिए हम कभी भारत और पाकिस्तान की दुश्मनी की बात नहीं करेंगे. ठीक है? We are the best of relationships when we are abroad. But you come to the line of control and see what is the relationship there. So that, what I want to tell you is we live in 2 different worlds. We live in different worlds. I wish we could continue living in that world in which I lived in London, or I lived in Mozambique, where I was serving with the Pakistan Army people. So ये चीजें हैं. आपको एक रियलिटी समझनी पड़ेगी कि उस तरफ की फौज जो है उनकी सब कुछ चलती है because they have created this thing, this fear कि अगर भारत क्या वो कुछ होगा, इस्लाम खतरे में है. आपको मालूम होना चाहिए कि क्रिकेट मैचेस में भी पाकिस्तान के अंदर आधे वक्त लोग यही कहते हैं इस्लाम खतरे में है. So these are realities one has to take in mind. And I'm a Muslim and I'm saying it to you.
Right. That is the best part. अच्छा, अताश डन साहब, अभी ये बातें हमारी पाकिस्तान वाली तो क्लियर हो गई कि without the change or change in the complete strategic intent and content and context, I would say, of the Pakistan military and the ISI, the people of Pakistan will continue to suffer this type of regimes that keep coming. Now, keeping that at that, we will hope for the best that Khazanchi Sahab wants. 2 more ideas we have to address, and that is one is the Ladakh standoff जो है. मैं चाहता हूं कि अभी अलग-अलग खबरें आ रही हैं. कल वो अजय शुक्ला साहब ने एक आर्टिकल लिख दिया कि भाई वो, I'm not discounting anybody, I'm saying कुछ हुआ तो होगा, कि जरूर कुछ ना कुछ होगा. May not be there come inside, but they must have definitely tried to strengthen their position in their own areas, and कुछ तो हुआ होगा जिससे कहानी आ रही है. पर basically somewhere मेरे को ऐसा लगता है लद्दाख में, मैं आपके साथ जनरल साहब, लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल साहब, मैं आपको एक बताना चाहता हूं. मैंने 30 लोगों के नाम डाल दिए थे जिनकी मौत हुई थी उसी रात को. ग्लोबल टाइम्स ने इसको अपने यहाँ डाला, और प्रोफेसर अय्यर एकमात्र पब्लिशर या जर्नलिस्ट था जो अपनी फेसबुक पे इन चाइनीज लोगों का जिनका खात्मा हुआ, मतलब काउंटर अटैक में खात्मा हुआ विद इन नो टाइम. आई एम टेलिंग यू, इट वाज बेयरली फ्यू आवर्स दैट वी हैव टेकन. किसी भी जर्नलिस्ट की किसी भी भारत में, चाहे किसी तरफ हो, चाहे वो इस तरफ हो या उस तरफ हो, किसी जर्नलिस्ट ने आज तक उसके बारे में नहीं लिखा. मैंने अभी फिर एनिवर्सरी बनाई अपने फेसबुक पे, मैंने सभी 30 सोल्जर्स के नाम लिख दिए। उसके बाद अमेरिकन ने माना कि 43 मरे हैं, अब तो लोग 100 पे आ गए हैं। तो हम ये क्या बड़े रिलक्टेंटली बात करते हैं जब हम अपना काम कर देते हैं, हमारी सरकारें बोलती नहीं है, बताना नहीं चाहती, ये क्या है एटीट्यूड? भाई हम अपने 20 की बात करते हैं, हमारे 20 के मरने की बात बहुत हुई है, लेकिन जो 30 के मरने की बात मैंने कही किसी ने नहीं कहा, और मुझे कह दिया जाता है। मैं तो इन सरकारों को भी नहीं छोड़ता हूं, आज की सरकार को भी क्रिटिसाइज करता हूं मैं, लेकिन मैं तो सबको करता हूं। तब बड़े आसानी से आते हैं, अरे अय्यर साहब हमारे खिलाफ हैं। पर जब हम कहते हैं कि हम चीन की जो नाकामियां हैं उसको हम उजागर करते हैं, तो हम अकेले पड़ जाते हैं। अतः हसनैन साहब, हमारे जैसे लोग अकेले पड़ जाते हैं उसमें।
मैं आपको समझाता हूँ, ये बात बहुत दिलचस्प बात आपने उठाई है। देखिए, मैं सरकार को मुबारकबाद देता हूं फॉर द वे दैट दे हैव हैंडल्ड दिस crisis in Ladakh. It is not an easy crisis to handle, right? And just to go there and see it and see the vagueness and the grayness of the line of actual control. किसी को मालूम नहीं कि है कहाँ line of actual control, मार्क नहीं है मैप के। So it's a very challenging thing. अजीब सवाल लोग पूछते हैं, मोदी जी ने 18 दफे क्यों मिले शी जिनपिंग के साथ? क्या रह गया था कि 5 साल में 18 दफे उनके साथ मिले? अच्छा, अभी तक प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी साहब ने अभी तक क्यों नहीं चाइना का नाम लिया है? ये अजीब अजीब सवाल पूछते हैं जिसको जवाब देना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है लोगों को। मैंने बहुत लिखा है इसके ऊपर और जवाब बेहद जवाब दिए हैं इसके ऊपर, इसका आपको मैं जवाब देता हूं। हमारी बहुत काबिलियतें हैं। We are militarily, we are not weak. We are not weak. Politically, we are not weak. Diplomatically, we are very strong in everything.
No, militarily we are strong, sir. I agree with you. Militarily we are strong.
We are the weakest in one domain. Political, military, diplomatic, सब domains को मिलाकर एक domain है जो हमारा सबसे कमजोरी. That is information management.
Exactly, sir.
आप हैं journalist, आप हैं media वाले. You see, you have to develop the capability to play information as a game. आपको याद होना चाहिए कि चाइनीज ने 1990 की जब गल्फ वॉर हुई ना, तो इन्होंने पूरा उसको देखा कैसे CNN जो है एंटर्ड इनटू द ड्राइंग रूम ऑफ पीपल, कैसे खबरें अंदर आई, किस तरह से कंट्रोल किया इसको। 3 साल के अंदर 1993 में केम आउट विद अ डॉक्यूमेंट कॉल्ड वॉर अंडर इंफॉर्मेशनाइज्ड कंडीशन। हमने सोचा भी नहीं था कि ये इंफॉर्मेशनाइज्ड कंडीशन होती क्या है। 2003 में they came out with a doctrine called the 3 strategies, 3 warfares, 3 strategies. क्या था कि China will fight its wars in the future with media war, legal war and cyber war. 3 चीजें होंगी और बाकी सब जो है वो deterrence होगा। हम मिसाइल रखेंगे, न्यूक्लियर कैपेबिलिटी रखेंगे, हवाई जहाज रखेंगे, ये सब deterrence है। अगर सब खत्म हो गया तो हम उसको इस्तेमाल करेंगे, मगर हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी 3 चीजों पर निर्भर हो। ठीक है, अब हमारे यहाँ जो है ये प्रॉब्लम समझ नहीं पाया अभी तक कि इन द वर्ल्ड टुडे सोशल मीडिया, यू हैवंट इवन सीन द टिप ऑफ द कैपेबिलिटी ऑफ सोशल मीडिया। अभी तो डेवलप देखिए कैसे होगा, जब 5G आएगा, 6G आएगा, तब देखेंगे हम कितना डेवलप होगा। ठीक है, सो it's about time we started looking at information handling, information management, information warfare, perception management. These are terminologies and terminologies, communication strategy, जो कुछ कहिए इसको। आज की लड़ाई is a war of the mind. How to get into the mind of your enemy, and this is something that we have been ignoring for too long.
Right. So, because I, in fact, made all the recorded evidences, including a couple of military generals from America who had endorsed what we were saying, that it was not like in Galwan clash, we only lost. Of course, the first loss was ours. But when we counterattack, the Bihar 16,
we should have spoken about this umpteen times.
The Bihar 16 regiment and the Ghataks did an extraordinary job. I have some batchmates and I cannot name them. They have been also sending me information.
You may like to ask Khazanchi Saab for his opinion, because मेरा तो मिलिट्री ओपिनियन है। आई एम अवेयर ऑल दीज थिंग्स। जो खजांची साहब का एक इंटेलेक्चुअल वो होगा, परसेप्शन होगा अबाउट दिस होल थिंग, हिज थिंग विल बी वेरी यूजफुल।
नहीं, खजांची साहब के साथ तो मैं चाहता हूं कि इसमें तो खजांची साहब बोले, उससे अच्छा मैं बोलूंगा खजांची साहब आप मेरे को बताइए, भूटान पे आना चाहता हूं मैं खजांची साहब के साथ। खजांची साहब, why Bhutan is such a critical country for India? इस पे आप थोड़ा सा बोल दीजिए. जनरल साहब भी हैं, he will understand. Both not only from the economic point of view, military point of view, it's a major country for us for collaboration. We again lost Khazanchi साहब. This is the I've got this internet problem with him. I think he's Khazanchi साहब, can you hear me?
Yeah, I did hear. See, about Bhutan, I'll tell you, a small country, population 750,000, and yes, a sovereign country. Government of India, sometimes I tell you, not always, they behave like that elder brother, bada bhai. You know, when you are in good relations with somebody, then you have to have mutual trust. You can think of a small population where they close all doors with somebody sneezing at the border. They say, oh no, we will get wiped away if the infection comes in.
Right, sir. Right, Khazanchi साहब. You know, I'm sorry, Khazanchi साहब has served Bhutan beautifully, and जनरल साहब, हमारे लिए भूटान बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंट्री है इस पूरे डायलॉग के अंदर. और मैं भूटानीज को सैल्यूट करता हूं, क्योंकि आई आल्सो ऑथर्ड दैट बुक कॉल्ड भूटान ब्रांडिश्ड आफ्टर इंडिया ब्रांडिश्ड. तो मैं भूटानीज को रियली प्रेम करता हूं कि कोई ऐसा देश नहीं है दुनिया में जो भूटान की तरह हमारे से रिश्ते बनाए रखा है. It's the best relationship in the world. And even from the, I've seen the opening of the Ha Valley and all that with Khazanchi Saab's, presence there. I've gone and seen a lot of things. I feel China is not in a position to counter us with Bhutan available, and we can do wonders with even Arunachal pressure coming to us. The Bhutan shares the border, and Khazanchi Saab knows, the work we are doing on hydro should progress. Yes, Khazanchi Saab, you said the elder brother treatment should end. हमें उनको बराबरी का थोड़ा दर्जा देना जरूरी है अभी. I am losing him. Hasnain साहब, बराबरी का दर्जा.
I agree. You see, ये बराबरी का दर्जा why only with Bhutan?
सबके साथ करें.
मैं तो कहता हूँ आपका जो नियर अब्रॉड रीजन है, आप स्टार्ट करिए भूटान, बांग्लादेश, म्यांमार. ठीक है, मैं तो थाईलैंड को भी इंक्लूड करता हूँ, नेपाल को भी, श्रीलंका, मालदीव्स, मॉरिशस, पाकिस्तान, नेपाल, अब ये पूरा अफगानिस्तान, ये पूरा ये this is the place which the Chinese, the famous Chinese string of pearls जो बनाया हुआ है, the terminology called string of pearls. This is what the Chinese have used to try and strangulate you.
Exactly. So
7 countries, 8 countries, we need to handle them proactively and on an equal, stable footing. It should not be the big brother Indo-centric nature of the Indian subcontinent. वो नहीं होना चाहिए.
Agree with you.
And अब देखिए श्रीलंका में देखिए आप. You see, we have lost out everything in Sri Lanka. It's such a crucial country. From the Straits of Malacca to the Persian Gulf. That is the country which has got, leaving out India, they are the ones who have got the maximum harbor facilities. Trincomalee hai, Colombo hai, ab Hambantota hai, and things like that. And we seem to be losing out all these facilities from them. In the sense, we should be helping them, supporting them at the same time, and never talking about it. Because when you are looking at smaller countries and wanting an equal relationship, you should help, assist, and never talk about it. That is what good diplomacy is all about. But somehow India, in this manner, has not got it right. Hopefully things will change. They are changing. A lot of things are changing in this field, and hopefully we will do better.
Khazanchi Saab, one word, if you can hear us.
We have to do a little more. Yeah. About Bhutan, I'll tell you. Yes, efforts are on from our side to be very, very friendly with them. Those used to be the instructions from the Ministry of External Affairs from here. But certainly, role of Bhutanese.
Yes, so we again lost him. I've got a problem with this video. But what happens, sir, I have also been to Bhutan a long time. And Bhutan has been an excellent friend of India. And हमारे को, I think all these hydro projects जो हैं, करीब 30,000 मेगावाट के hydro projects हैं वहाँ. और हमने अभी केवल उसमें 3,000 मेगावाट भी नहीं किए हैं. तो हमें 30-35,000, हमें सारा डेवलप करने की बात करनी चाहिए इन लोगों से जल्दी से, जिससे कि इनको देख के देखा देखी में थोड़ा क्या बोलते नेपाल भी उसको कहे कि हमारे 70 मेगावाट है, और तीसरा जो सर हम अपना नेग्लेक्ट कर रहे हैं, 200 gigawatt of hydropower is lying in one state called Arunachal Pradesh. मैं आपको बता रहा हूं साहब, somehow I want to send this message कि अरुणाचल का पानी की तरफ नजर है चाइना की. China is not looking at it. It's also only 10 lakh के population के करीब है. It is the largest northeastern state with lowest population, just like Bhutan. और उसपे नजर उसके पानी पे है. जैसे वो उसको साउथ टिबेट क्या 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 आपको बताता है. तो बेसिकली पानी की लड़ाई यही है. इनफैक्ट वी हैव टू एजुकेट आवर masses who are watching us that China's interest in Arunachal is to control water, just like
Absolutely.
our interest in Siachen is to control the water anyway. We will never give Siachen away.
Absolutely.
तो बिल्कुल सही बात है सर. तो I think with this I would have loved to continue with the Quad. I want one last word on you because Quad is shaping, but I don't think it is shaping the way it should be. I think more than the Quad, my personal view is India should depend on itself. Ki up the ante to defense budget of 100 billion plus instead of just depending on Quad. What is your view on this, sir?
See, for one, a defense budget, a hike in defense budget in the future has to be there. It's inevitable. You see, if you have to modernize, and let me tell you also and explain one aspect, our concept of security should stop resting only on the Himalayas.
Exactly.
This continental security, Himalayas and Kashmir, we should stop on that. We should look at the maritime domain and see how can we strengthen our maritime domain.
Exactly.
Now, if you want to strengthen your maritime domain, you need to invest. And you can't do it with the 1.7% or 1.5% budgets. You cannot.
Yes.
So
yes.
I am in complete agreement with you that in due course today, $40–45 billion budget has to go up to about 100 billion or close to that in any time in the near future. Without that, koi chara nahi hai, as they say. The second issue on Quad, if I can just kill it here without taking too much time.
No problem.
Quad has been in the making since 2007.
Right.
And it is the common threat of the rise of China, not a very peaceful rise of China, which is binding us together. We are disparate countries, Japan, Australia, United States, and India. The dependence on India is primarily because of our location in the Indian Ocean. Our ability to strangulate the entire east-west sea routes of communication that China uses for bringing 80% of its energy traffic and 80% of its container traffic, which is what runs this economy. This is what the United States is interested in.
Absolutely right.
If we join the Quad and participate, we are already participating in a lot of exercises. Exercise Malabar of ours takes place every year, and all these countries are participating in that. It's a question of finally putting ourselves into that camp and saying, yes, we are adversaries of China. This is the prime reason why Prime Minister Modi has not even mentioned China so far. Because there's no such thing as a permanent enemy. What has happened in Ladakh doesn't mean that you are going to create China, make China into an enemy. You can still fight battles on the borders and still do trade with each other. You must remember, diplomacy is about doing multiple things simultaneously.
So on that note, समय almost khatam ho gaya. On that note, I would like to thank General Saab, and this was such a wonderful discussion. I would love to have one more round with you, General Saab, because it's so knowledgeable, and also Khazanchi Saab. Maybe next time his video is even better than what we had today. And thank you, both of you, General Saab and Khazanchi Saab. We will meet again.
Thank you so much. Khazanchi Saab, thank you very much for the wisdom of your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saab. Thank you, Saab.